and you thought your life was bad before.
Bum, bum, ba, bum, 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 ba, bum. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
Hello, another video for Kings of War, and this one is about the Ogres. Now, it seems to be the thing of most war games that Ogres are mercenaries of whatever the world they're from. And the Ogres of Panathor are no different. They do gather together in groups and fight off in armies, but usually on their own or in small groups or troops or whatnot, or war bands, just to go and get paid and maybe kill some people or get someone that's maybe somewhere a bit too dangerous for the local townsfolk of wherever they're being paid from. They're a neutral force, and most of them are very big. However, they also have these things called green goblins. No, red goblins, not green. The reason they're called red goblins is that they're given a little, either a little bandana or a bit of cloth or something red, because to ogres anything small, they all looks the same, so give them some of the bit of red. Ah, they're ours. Ah, they're the enemies. So, it starts in the big book on page 297, and the armor special upgrade is the Croco Dog. Once per game, when this unit rolls to hit in melee, you may choose to reroll up to 3 dice that score a natural unmodified 1. This unit's Croco Dog is then destroyed and cannot be used again for the remainder of the game. This is the same as the Forces of Nature's Frenzy Dot, which is fine. It's fine. So the infantry then on page 297. Pretty much everything Goblin is irregular. The only reason you take Goblin stuff is because it's fairly cheap, and then you can power them forward and then let the Ogres mop everything up. So starting with the infantry on page 297 is the Red Goblin Rabble. Speed 5, melee 5+, defense 4+. Regiment 12 attacks, nerve 12-14, 75 points. Horde 25 attacks, nerve 19-21 and 125 points. Legion 30 attacks, nerve 25-27, 180 points. The cheap, the bog standard, and you can have a lot of them. Like I said, pile them forward, have a lot of them. Yes, they'll die, but they'll take a few enemies out first, and then the ogres can come piling forward afterwards, mop everything up. Then we've got the Red Goblin Sharp Sticks. The nerve is the same as the Red Goblin Rabble. The only difference is a regiment's got 15 attacks and 95 points. Horde have got 30 attacks and 155 points, and a Legion have got 35 attacks and 230 points. And they've got Phalanx because they're basically carrying spears. Again, not bad. That's one of the weaknesses of the Ogres. Phalanx is not a thing for them because we're so big. I suppose they could carry like halberds or something like that, but that's what the Goblins are there for, to have little sharp sticks and then get massacred while taking some enemy hit, putting some wounds on some enemies in the meantime. Ranged infantry then on page 297. Red Goblin Spitters, they are irregular. Speed 5, melee 6+, range 5+, defense 3+. Regiment 10 attacks, nerve 12-14, 90 points. Horde 20 attacks, nerve 19-21 and 160 points. They've got bows which are 24-inch range. They're not bad. They're longer range than a lot of ogre stuff, because ogres are a bit bigger. Their guns usually do a lot of damage but a bit shorter range. It depends what you want to go for. These are cheap, but their shooting's a bit naff. To make it worth it, you probably want to go for a Horde, because 10 attacks needing 5s. Well, 24-inch range, 10 attacks is the bare minimum for a range attack of 5 to actually hit something. I mean, they're fairly cheap, I suppose. It's that. The cavalry then, on page 297. Both of these are regular. We've got to start with Red Goblin Scouts. Speed 10, melee 4+, defense 4+. Troop, 7 attacks, nerve, 9-11, 100 points. Regiment, 14 attacks, nerve, 12-14, 155 points. They've got Nimble, Thunderous Charge 1, and Vicious in melee. They're not bad. Again, if you want some cheap cavalry, nothing wrong with that. Again, goblins are regular, so you're going to have some ogres before you want some goblins, which, come on, if you're taking more goblins than ogres, you might as well just go for a goblin army. So the Red Goblin Scout Sniffs then. Speed 10, melee 4+, range 5+, defense 3+. 7 attacks, it's troop, you can only take them as a troop. 7 attacks, nerve, 9-11, 105 points. Nimble, vicious in melee, short bow, which is 18-inch range, and they've got steady aim. They're pretty cheap. Again, if you want some cheap fast shooting, fine. But again, you need some ogres for them to actually work. Chariots then, on page 298. The Warrior Chariots, speed 8, melee 3+, defense 5+. Troop, 10 attacks, nerve 13-15, 170 points. Regiment, 15 attacks, nerve 15-17, 215 points. Horde, 20 attacks, nerve 17-19, 270 points. Legion, 25 attacks, nerve 20-22, 310 points. They've got Brutal, Crushing Strength 1 and Thunderous Charge 2. These are pretty decent, even if you don't counter in the Thunderous Charge, which, let's face it, you kind of want to. They've still got Crushing Strength 1 with, even the basic troop has got 10 attacks, which they need 3s to hit, and they've got Brutal, which is always a nice move, nice ability to have. They're pretty decent, and because they're not irregular, you can have as many as you want. Boomer Chariots, which are irregular. Speed 8, melee 4+, range 4+, defense 4+. Troop, 8 attacks, nerve 11-13, 145 points. Regiment, 12 attacks, nerve 13-15, 108 points. They've got Brutal, Crushing Strength 1, and they've got Boomsticks, which are 12-inch range, piercing 1, and steady aim. They're basically, for an ogre, they're a normal sized shotgun. For everyone else, they're kind of like a short ranged elephant gun, I think they're called. It's kind of that sort of shape and size. It's kind of like a giant blunderbuss, I suppose you could say. Again, they're not bad. Thing is, if you want some fast ogre shooting, this is kind of what you want to go for. So the large infantry then, on page 298. The boomers then. Speed 6, melee 4+, range 4+, defense 4+. Regiment, 9 attacks, nerve 12-14, 140 points. Horde, 18 attacks, nerve 15-17, 230 points. They've got Brutal and Crushing Strength 1, and they've got the Boomsticks, which are 12-inch range, piercing 1, and steady aim. They're pretty good. The downside are they are short range, and yes, while they've got good nerve, the weakness is you are going to need to get close to your enemy, otherwise you are going to feel it. The shooters then, which are irregular. Speed 6, melee 4+, range 5+, defense 4+. Regiment, 9 attacks, nerve 12-14, 140 points. Horde, 18 attacks, nerve 15-17, 230 points. They've got Brutal and Crushing Strength 1, and they've got Heavy Crossbows, which are 30-inch range, piercing 2, and Potshot, which means you can't, it's +2 to actually move and shoot with them, which half the number of your attacks. So 9 attacks become 5, I think, and 18 attacks become 9, which is still a fair few, but less attacks mean less chances hit, which you need 6s if you move and shoot with them. The 30-inch range, which means you do get an argument of just standing there and waiting for people to come to you. Just stand them on a hill or something and then just shoot people as you would if you had a war machine, is essentially the case. I would possibly take them over the boomers because of the range. The warriors, speed 6, melee 3+, defense 5+. Regiment, 9 attacks, nerve 12, 14, 120 points. Horde, 18 attacks, nerve 15, 17, 200 points. Legion, Legion of Ogres, 36 attacks, nerve 22, 24, 350 points. That ain't cheap, but you're getting a lot of them. Brutal, crushing strength 1. So you can decrease the defense to 4, but increase their crushing strength to 2 for free, if you want to do that. There's a point to doing that, because let's face it, they've got a hell of a lot of attacks, and at crushing strength 2 and brutal, there's nothing bad. But if you want the high defense, that's also a good thing too. You can take a crocodile for 5 points, because of course you can. You've got the hunters then, speed 7, melee 3+, defense 4+. Regiment, 9 attacks, nerve 12, 14, 135 points. Horde, 18 attacks, nerve 15, 17, 225 points. They've got brutal, crushing strength 1, ensnare and pathfind, and can take a crocodile for 5 points. They're not bad at all. I mean, they're a bit faster, so they've got a bit more charge. They've also got ensnare, which gives you a bit of resistance from being charged. In a way, they are kind of better than the warriors in that, well, the ensnare. They've also got pathfinder, which means they can move about a bit more freely, which also helps. Next we have the Berserker Braves. Speed 6, melee 4+, defense 4+. Regiment, 15 attacks, nerve, dash 15, 140 points. Horde, 30 attacks, nerve, dash 18, and 230 points. Brutal, crushing strength 1, wild charge D3. This is ridiculous. I'd have thought they'd hit on 3s myself, but hey, whatever. A regiment with 15 attacks, a horde with 30 attacks, that's just ridiculous. And their nerve is pretty good. The only downside of them is their defense is 4, so they're slightly softer in the defense department, but they're getting a charge of 13 to 15 inch, and they can't be wavered, which that's no bad thing. Lastly, for the large infantry then, we've got the Siege Breakers. Speed 6, melee 3+, defense 5+. Regiment, 9 attacks, nerve 12, 14, 145 points. Horde, 18 attacks, nerve 15, 17, 240 points. They've got the big shield rule, which means the defense 6 at the front, so you really need to outflank or get attacks in from the rear, otherwise you've got no chance. And crushing strength 2 and brutal, because they've just basically got massive swords or maces or whatever one you want to call it, and they've got bigger shields. They're just there to smash walls or smash faces into the pulp. We have the monsters then, on page 299. Red Goblin Blaster then, speed 5, melee 3+, defense 5+, range 5+. Yes, melee 3+. It's basically some balls pushing a wagon filled with explosive barrels, so hits on 3s. Okay. 3 attacks, nerve, dash 10 and 65 points. Blast, D3, brutal, crushing strength 3, makeshift grenades, which are 12-inch range, blast D3 and piercing 1. It also goes boom, which says, at the end of the turn in which this unit scores successful hit in melee, it immediately routed and removed from play. Yeah, so basically what that means is once it gets into close combat, it does the blast. It does the blast thing, and it's also got crushing strength 3 on it. 3 attacks with D6 blast. Oh, that's interesting. So minimum of 3 hits. So say you get 2 hits in, that's between 2 to 12 hits. If you get all 3 hits in, that's 3 to 18 attacks in. Yeah, that's pretty powerful. Even with makeshift grenades, that's D3, so soften some up and then charge in and blast up to pieces. 65 points, it is pretty cheap. The Mammoth then, it's a monster character. Oh no, it's Monster Chariot, sorry. Speed 7, melee 4 plus, defense 5 plus. 12 attacks, nerve, dash 18, 220 points. Brutal, crushing strength 2, strider, thunderous charge 2. This is a pretty nice beastie. It's fearless, it's got a lot of attacks, it's got crushing strength 2, and if you need it, thunderous charge 2, which means even the greater earth elementals are gonna feel hurt by this thing. The Titans then, on page 299. The Red Goblin Slasher, speed 7, melee 3 plus, range 5 plus, defense 5 plus. 8 attacks, nerve, 16-18, 210 points. They've got crushing strength 2 and strider. It's also got sharp stick thrower, which is 36-inch range. 2 attacks, blast D3, piercing 2 and steady aim. It's not bad. The Mammoth, I'd take over the Red Goblin Slasher because it's got more attacks, it's fearless, and it's only 10 points more. Yes, I suppose if you want a ranged attack on the Red Goblin Slasher, it's 36-inch range. But I'd rather go for the Mammoth because, well, it's only 10 points more than the Red Goblin Slasher. The Giant then, speed 7, melee 4 plus, defense 5 plus. D6 plus 8 attacks, so at minimum it's getting 9 attacks, at most it's getting 14. Nice. Nerve 18-20, 225 points. Brutal, crushing strength 4, fury and strider. It's a toss up between that and the Giant. The Giant or the Mammoth out of the Red Goblin Blaster's not bad, but it's cheap, so you could probably take a few really easily. Out of the monsters and the Titans, the Giant and the Mammoth are the 2 ones that I really go for because they've got the attacks and the staying power. The Slasher has got the staying power, but it can be wavered. It hasn't got as many attacks as the other 2, but it's on 3s. But for the extra 10-15 points, the Giant and the Mammoth are kind of better. The heroes there. On page 300. Starting with the Ogre Warlock. He is a large infantry hero. Right, so basically anything that doesn't say Goblin in it is a large infantry hero. I think, yeah, everything apart from Goblin is large infantry hero. Anything that's Goblin in it is an infantry hero. So the Ogre Warlock. So the heroes then, on page 300. Anything that doesn't say Goblin, or anything that don't read as Goblin, is a large infantry hero. Anything that's Goblin is an infantry hero. So starting with the Ogre Warlock. Spellcaster rank 1. Speed 6, melee 4 plus, defense 4 plus. 2 attacks, nerve 12-14, 95 points. Brutal, crushing strength 1, inspiring, berserkers only. And nimble. Ogre Warlock, for each friendly corps, large infantry regiment or large infantry horde within 6 inch, increase the amount of dice rolled with life drain, fireball, lightning bolt and mind fog by 1 to a maximum bonus of 3. Okay, that's pretty cool. That does mean a lot of the spells are getting better stuff. To really get the most out of it, surround the Ogre Warlocks with Braves, I mean, they're not expensive and they're fearless and they've got a hell of a lot of attacks, so why not? Starts with Lightning Bolt 3, but if you surround them with other ogres, especially berserkers, you've got Lightning Bolt 4. Life Drain 5 for 20 points. Fireball 8 for 25 points. Mind Fog 1 for 10 points. Blood Boil 1, and you can only have one of these in your army, for 30 points. Life Drain's not a bad option. Fireball, not bad, but a bit expensive. Mind Fog, not bad, but you only get one of these, maybe. Life Drain and Lightning Bolt seem your best options here for the Warlock. Sergeant then. Brutal, Crushing Strength 2, Inspiring, Nimble. Speed 6, Melee 3 plus, Defense 5 plus. 5 attacks, Nerve 13, 15, 110 points. Pretty cheap. Can mount on the chariot, increasing speed to 8, gain Thunderous Charge 1, and changing to Hero Chariot for 30 points. Crocodile for 5 points. Increase. You can decrease the defense to 4, but increase Crushing Strength to 3 for free if you want. Not a bad option. You can take a Heavy Crossbow, which again decreases your defense to 4, but you gain range 5, and a Heavy Crossbow, which is 30-inch range, piercing 2, and that's for 10 points. Maybe. Oh, and you cannot have the increase your Crushing Strength as well as the crossbow. You can only have one or the other. I can see the point in having the Heavy Crossbow, but you've only got 5 attacks on it. 110 points, 120 points actually if you take the Heavy Crossbow. Not bad. Excuse me. Yeah, I can kind of see the point. I mean, it's 30-inch range. We're piercing 2 with 5 attacks. It's a mini war machine. The Boomer Sergeant then. Speed 6, Melee 4 plus, Range 4 plus, Defense 4 plus. 4 attacks, Nerve 11, 13, 90 points. Brutal, Crushing Strength 1, and Nimble. It's got Boomstick, which is 12-inch range, 8 attacks, piercing 1, and steady aim. Again, a mini war machine. But you are going to have to keep moving because 12-inch range, you ain't going to hit that often. But when you do, it's going to hurt. Army Standard. Speed 6, Melee 3 plus, Defense 5 plus. 3 attacks, Nerve 11, 13, 70 points. Brutal, Crushing Strength 1, Inspiring, Nimble. Mount on your chariot, increasing speed to 8, gain Thunderous Charge 1, and changing to Hero Chariot for 30 points. Most times I'll say that army standards for most armies, the army standard bearers aren't good because there's other stuff that gives inspiring that's, yes, it's more points, but it does better. For the ogres, maybe invested in an army standard because, well, it's still an ogre, and if you mount it on a chariot, yes, it's 100 points, but you've got Crushing Strength 1, you hit on 3s, you've still got all the stuff that's an ogre. Berserker Bully. These are new. Speed 6, Melee 3 plus, Defense 4 plus. 8 attacks, Nerve, Dash 14, 130 points. Brutal, Crushing Strength 2, Inspiring, Berserkers only. Nimble, Wild Charge D3. So minimum range of charge is 13-inch, maximum is 15-inch. Nice. It's pretty decent. 130 points is not too bad. The weakness, I suppose, is that its defense is 4, but 8 attacks on its own with Crushing Strength 2 and Brutal. That's nothing to be sniffed at, let's face it. You go Warlord then. Speed 6, Melee 3 plus, Defense 5 plus. 7 attacks, Nerve 15, 17, 155 points. Brutal, Crushing Strength 2, Inspiring, Nimble. Can mount on the chariot, gaining speed 8, Thunderous Charge 1, and changing to Hero Chariot for 30 points. Crocodile for 5 points. You can decrease the defense to 4, but increase Crushing Strength to 3 for free. That's not a bad option. It's kind of like the Berserker Bully, but with a bit less attacks. That being said though, Crushing Strength 3 on the Defense 4 bloke isn't bad, especially if you mount on a chariot. That means if you charge, you're decreasing your opponent's defense to 2 regardless of what you are hitting, and you've got brutal as well. So I'd give some thought to that. Lastly, for the heroes, we have the Big Goblin Bigot. It's Big Git, not Bigot. Bigit. Bigot. Or Big Git. Because he's the biggest and giddiest. No, biggest and gittest. Biggest and gittiest. Biggest and whatever. Speed 5, melee 4+, defense 4+. 3 attacks, nerve 9/11, 55 points. Crushing strength 1, individual, inspiring goblins only. Mount on the flea bag, increasing speed to 10 and changing to hero cavalry for 25 points. Exchange 2-handed weapon for a short bow, losing crushing strength, but gaining the ranged attack short bow, 18-inch range 4+ for free. I won't bother with the short bow. There's really no point. Maybe mount on a flea bag if you want your other cavalry goblins to get some inspiring. I can't see the point, because for 15 points more you've got an Ogre Army Standard which inspires everyone. Or if you really want some tough inspiring, Ogre Sergeant or Ogre Warlord do the same thing. They are more expensive, but let's face it, they punch a lot harder. So the unique units on page 301. Cuzlo and Madfall, Hero Large Cavalry, Spellcaster rank 1. Speed 8, melee 3+, defense 4+. 5 attacks, nerve 11/15, 145 points. Crushing strength 2, inspiring, self only. Nimble, Pathfinder, regeneration 4+, vicious in melee. Ravenous Lizard. While 6-inch of this unit, all units, both friendly and foe, have -1 to their waver and rout values. Sticky Tongue. This unit's Enthrall spell only has a range of 12 while casting an Enthrall. In addition to moving the target, roll to damage for each hit scored. And spells are Enthrall 5 and Hex 3. That's not bad, but all units friend and enemy within 6 are -1 to their waver and rout nerve values. That's a big liability, especially at at 145 points. It's only got 5 attacks. The main thing you're going for is having Enthrall and Hex, and it regenerates. It's just basically a lizard man ridden by a goblin whiz. I wouldn't bother because of that Ravenous Lizard ability. That is going to be its major weakness. So, lastly, for the unique units is Goroka Gamok. Yeah, speed 6, melee 3+, defense 5+. 7 attacks, nerve 15/17, 250 points. He ain't cheap. Special rules, blast D3, brutal, crushing strike 3, nimble, very inspiring. So for each attack you are doing D3 wounds on the unit. So minimum you could do is one wound. So minimum you could do is 1 hit. Maximum you could do is 21. And a crushing strength 3 with brutal, that is ridiculous. He is good for taking out everything. Your main weakness is things are going to shoot him because he's so good. I would have some maybe warrior chariots, or maybe some warriors, hunters or berserkers in front, mash the enemy, have him outflanking, or to mop up any survivors. So the ogres then, they are really, really good. You will not get many of them in your force. In fact, you are probably going to be outnumbered by near enough every army. But they've got high nerve values. They hit really hard. And if you could get some cheapness with some goblins, just pepper the goblins around, have them going forward, and then the ogres come in after, brutalise everything else. And the models, they just basically look like 80s anime protagonists, really bulked up, really beefy, and the heads have got, well, it's kind of the same thing. In fact, I'll show you a picture of what a Mantic ogre looks like. We've got ones like this. We've also got ones like this. And we've also got ones like this. And also like that. Mantic's done, I think, every model for this force. I think yeah, I mean, some of the heroes you are gonna have to use the regiments from the other ogre models, which for most forces that's kind of the case anyway, but it's easy enough to do. The Ogre Warlock is an amazing looking model. The fact you can put ogres on chariots is just amazing. So yeah, as I have a word with the cameraman, that's it for now. Goodbye.